Hey, how's it going there, Speech?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Great. Thanks for taking the time. Good day for you, aside from having to talk to the media people asking you the same 10 questions.
Yeah, it's a great day, man. It's a great day for me to do this. And I'm in Arizona today.
Hey, at least you're getting warmer weather than here in New York. Uh,
Yes, I would say that that is true.
I'm
It
hearing
is
the
true,
wind.
man.
I'm seeing the low tide out the window. So, are you in Arizona on tour or did you move out there?
No, I'm just on tour. We got a show here tonight. And so we're sort of, you know, getting ready for that. And we just dropped our album today.
Yes. Please say the name of the album from which there's a great single called Vibe.
Thank you. Yeah, the album's called For the F in Love.
Hmm.
And we dropped it today on Bandcamp, which is very musician friendly.
Hmm.
And then we drop it everywhere next week on December 10th. So today is on Bandcamp, they have Music Fridays, which is basically where they give all the proceeds of a sale to the artist instead of taking a percentage. And so, yeah, we dropped it today for that reason, just, so it's pro artist. And then, yeah, then it goes to the streaming services, which aren't as pro artist.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's the new album. In 2020, you had "Don't Fight Your Demons," so it's
yeah.
not exactly been slow on the creative front. Creative front. You've also been collaborating with other artists regularly over the years. Are you the kind of performer that's writing something every day? Like, I don't feel creative, but I'm going to write. One of those kind of people.
I am, yeah, yeah, pretty much. I learned to do that a long time ago. And, you know, for me, writing is therapeutic. And I just learned that, what am I spending my time on if I'm not going to write? Then, you know, I don't just write, but sometimes if I don't write for a while, I feel like, you know what, let me get back in the studio and start writing. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I feel like there's something sort of destined that I'm supposed to do in the writing world. So I just keep doing it. I keep messing around with ideas and stuff like that.
Well, the single that I mentioned before, "Vibe," has Big Daddy Kane, Cleveland P. Jones, Tasha LaRae on it. When you're writing, do you know outright, hey, there needs to be guests on this? Or do you just send a note to everybody in your phone and go, guest, guest time?
No, I to be honest, every song is totally different, and certain songs to me scream out certain artists. So Vibe, for instance, to me screamed out either Big Daddy Kane or CL Smooth, or it screamed out, maybe Drez from Black Sheep, but it just, I don't know, it sort of had a certain energy to it. So I reached out to all three of those people. And my first hope was Big Daddy Kane because the groove to Vibe is so smooth, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And I felt like he would ride that groove really well. But Kane doesn't do a ton of features. He does features, but not a ton. So um, it was an interesting process to get him on this record, but we got him. And not only that, to take it a level up from that, we got him on the video, which was
Yes.
even harder to do. So it was a blessing in all ways. Like, yeah, yeah, it's great.
How did the G Love collaboration happen?
G Love has been a longtime friend of mine. I first met him in 94, I think, 93. I was on tour with Arrested Development. I think he was opening for us, and he plays a mean harmonica. So there's a
Yes.
song on our first debut album called Mama's Always on Stage. And I met him backstage, and I said, hey, would you learn this part? And, if you're cool with it, could you come out on stage and rap for our show? And he did. That was like, I don't know, 29 years ago or more. And so from there, we just stayed friends. He did shows with Jack Johnson here and there, and I would go see him and hang out backstage. And, he'd come to our show and maybe rock a little harmonica or whatever. So it was one of those things where the song Grandma's Southern Ways, by nature, harmonica can be, sort of traced back to Southern roots. And I
Mhm.
felt like that would be cool. And then I didn't forget that he could rap, but I was like, he wanted to bust vocals. So I was like, go ahead, dude, this is it. And I also felt like that song, if anything, felt it felt like it could cater well to his audience too. So not just, Arrested Development, but also his audience. So I try to do that. And so we did a barter actually, where I didn't have to pay him because I also rapped on a song on his new album coming out. And so we just did a barter thing for that one. Yeah.
And now you both have publishing.
Now we both have publishing.
Now you have publishing, and if you have a publishing deal where you have to deliver a certain number of tracks on people's albums that are released, you both fulfilled your, I think it's called the MDRC, the minimum delivery requirement.
That's exactly right, man. We just did it. We just helped to fill that quota.
Well, in your case, you know, through Vagabond Productions, as I said earlier, working with other artists is something that you've been open to from the very, very beginning, per se. And one of the things I really enjoy about you and Arrested Development is how you mean something different in every part of the world. So, for example, it never slowed down in Japan. You were doing the albums on JVC or Toshiba, one of those labels.
Yeah.
And so, you know, while it quote unquote declined for a little bit in the States, over there, it was always hot. In Europe, always doing the festivals. You were doing African touring before most artists were. When did you know that it wasn't going to be over if you weren't in the top 40 of the US? Because a lot of artists never realized that.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was over. I was really depressed after Zingalamaduni didn't do as well as 3 years, 5 months, and 2 days. I, as a producer and as a writer, felt like it was personal towards me and what I was doing and my trajectory. So I was worried. And I think I realized that it wasn't over when I released my solo album, and it tanked in the States as well. My debut solo album tanked in the United States. And when I say tanked, I mean really tanked. It sold 15,000 copies throughout the entire United States. So that's pretty bad in those days. When,
although in 2021, they'd be like 15,000.
Exactly. That's exactly right, which is the irony of the whole thing. It's all relative. But back then I felt like, wow, my career's over. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at the Billboard charts and I'm trying to look for my name, like where am I at in the charts? And I was somewhere down in the 90s or something in America. I happened to go to Japan and I really had no interest in seeing what they were about. And I looked down at the bottom, I didn't see me. I looked up to the top, I'm #1. And that really freaked me out. I was like, I'm the #1 artist in Japan right now. And so that was one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, wow, I'm actually, there's some place that's digging this music. So then I immediately told my manager, who was Vanessa Williams' husband at the time, Ramon Hervé, I told him, we gotta go to Japan. And we immediately set up some dates, went, and it was the most encouraging rebound that a person could feel. It just felt great. It felt like redemption for me.
Yeah, you were, the album that you were talking about, the solo album that only sold those copies initially, was that when you were on the Artist Direct label?
That was when I was on EMI still. I was still signed to EMI, and it was a horrible deal because sometimes record labels, in fact, a lot of times, they do these cross-collateralization deals where they basically, if you owe money from the last record you did, you do a whole nother project under a whole nother name, they still collect money on the last record and this record. So there was no way I was gonna make any money, but I did do some Artist Direct stuff after I was dropped from EMI.
Well, I bring up Artist Direct because that was my early days as a writer. And I remember you were one of the big names that was announced. It was you, Johnny Marr from the Smiths, this artist named Custom, who was supposed to be the next big thing. And their whole business model was, if you sell 25,000 copies of your new album, most majors are going to cry, but we can make that profitable and be super happy about that.
That's exactly right.
But it was a short-lived label, but it was super ahead of its time, realizing the niche industry kind of approach.
I totally agree. Yeah, now they would do very well, right, with that same model because, you know, 25,000 copies is amazing right now.
Yeah, if an arena holds 15, 20,000 people and you go, so it's a whole arena and more, that's a lot of people that actually care.
That's true.
So what I was saying is, in some countries, you're a festival band, some you're an arena band, some you're a theater band. Does that mean that you have different sets that you can do? For example, you go,
Very
Okay,
much.
this is the hit 30-minute thing. Here's the Die Hard 90-minute thing.
Totally. You nailed it, bro. You're really in the industry, I could tell, because
Eh,
a lot of people wouldn't even know that dynamic. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. There's certain, which I don't like, but there's certain instances where, you do just your hits and you're just sort of in and out. And I don't like those per se, because I'm much too much of an artist for that. Like, I like to explore. I like people to hear new things, and I like people to want to be curious about what else we do and what else we can offer. So I like that kind of crowd, but I still do it. It pays. It helps to pay bills,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very appreciative of it, but it's not my favorite style. But yeah, there is different types of things that we do.
Another thing that I find intriguing about you and Arrested Development is when you came out of Atlanta. I know you're not originally from Atlanta, but you moved down to Atlanta.
Yeah.
That Atlanta was not a central point for the music business or the film industry. So there were a lot of bands and artists who made it out of Atlanta. Around your time, Collective Soul made it, but it wasn't quite a unified scene.
Not at all.
When you were making it in Atlanta in the early days, did you know Butch Walker or William Duvall? Because I know William Duvall eventually, wrote Dion Ferris's hit, who you knew for better and for worse. But were you around Butch Walker or William Duvall? I like connecting the dots to see who from the rock and R&B scenes knew each other.
I knew Butch Walker. I didn't know the other brother, and I will say that even though Collective Soul made it during that same time, in hip hop, it was very underdeveloped in Atlanta. So the only two people that were popping in hip hop at the early '90s was us and Criss Cross, literally.
Oh, Criss Cross was in Atlanta. I thought Criss
Yeah.
Cross was a Philadelphia thing.
No, Criss Cross was Atlanta. They were produced by Jermaine Dupri, which was also Atlanta.
Ah,
Arrested Development was managed by Jermaine Dupri's father, Michael Malden, who ended up running Columbia and the Black Music Division in Columbia. He ended up signing Lauryn Hill and Fugees and Nas. Well, not Nas. Yeah, Nas, Destiny's Child, a lot of really huge acts. Long story short, there was no scene that was worldwide respected in the Atlanta hip hop world. So yeah, although Collective Soul, I did know Butch Walker. It's funny, I met Butch Walker many, many, many years later. I had a manager named Jonathan Daniel.
Oh, you were managed by Crush. Okay.
I was managed by Jonathan before he even started Crush. And this is before he was huge. We were number one best friends, and he was managing me as well. And then we're still great friends, but now he's like a juggernaut in the industry.
Yeah, he's only managing Green Day and Weezer and Lord and Courtney Love, just.
Yeah, just some small acts.
Wow. So the recurring theme that I keep hearing is you are around everything, you're around everyone, you know everyone, but it's not super documented. For example, who's somebody I speak to that we know every facet of their life? Putting myself on the spot here, whatever it is. Certain people, every facet of their life, we know they recorded the song on this day and this day. They wrote it on this day. They were on tour and this. Your life is so much mystery to it. Is that on purpose, or is it just you didn't have somebody diarying the whole thing?
The latter, definitely the latter. I do feel like I'm the Forrest Gump of a lot of things, because for me, like, I was around at the beginnings of a lot of people's sort of successes. There's so many people that I knew at the beginnings of their stages. So Jermaine Dupri being one of them, he was just starting. I was just starting, and we were all just sort of coming up together. Another artist that I don't know if he's doing too much now, but Dallas Austin, same difference.
Oh yeah, another Austin, Atlanta guy rather. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, of course, Outkast wasn't out when we were out, so the whole Dungeon Family and Outkast and Goody Mob and that whole clique, in the beginnings of their successes. So a lot more that I can mention, but yeah, that's something that's been a theme.
Forrest Gump, but highly intelligent, evolved, and productive.
That would be argued. Some people.
Well, since you've mentioned all these rock tie-ins that I didn't know about. Any Van Halen interactions or David Lee Roth interactions over the years?
Not me, no. Other than I love the music, I've always wanted to sample some of their stuff, but no, never met them.
Wow. Well, future aspirations for the next album. It seems like
Right.
you're doing an album every 2 years. Is the for the how do you say your album title again? Because I see the
I just say
FKM.
for the F in love, for the F in love. Yeah.
For the F and Love. Is that the have you already started writing for the follow-up to For the F and Love?
You know, I think I'm gonna stop writing actually after this record. And so at this point, you know, I still do write, the truth is, but I don't think I have a plan to release any of it. So
The Billy Joel business method of going, River of Dreams is my last album. I'm gonna
Right.
write, you're not gonna hear any of it.
Exactly.
Or would we hear some of that as cut by other artists because the publisher would pitch it?
That's a great point. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't thought that far.
But not retiring from the stage, so we in New York
No.
might see you live in the near future.
Hopefully so, definitely. I love New York. And I used to go to BB King's, Arrested Development used to do BB King's. It's been torn down or whatever. So we'll see where we'll go next, but in New York. But yeah, I love New York.
My last question for you has nothing to do with your new album, nothing to do with anything we've spoken about. The last question, do you have a TV recommendation you could pass along to someone who needs a new show to start?
Well, I would suggest watching True Story with Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. I think it's brilliant.
I didn't know that one. That's a Netflix show?
Yep.
Now
Brilliant.
I know. The things that I've learned from speech today are tremendous. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the many years of great music speech.
I appreciate you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Paltrocast.